In the 1930s, some said Social Security returns to the Soviet Union. In the 60s, they said the same thing about Medicare. Today, many against healthcare are using similar rhetoric against healthcare reform, using words like socialism, communism, and speaking about death panels. Do you feel this rhetoric has any productive value in achieving real healthcare reform?
No, I don't think that rhetoric that is sort of thought out, or that its goal is to get people excited on any issue is helpful.
I believe that it's your obligation to represent the people.
We need you, Congressman, to side with the people, not the insurance companies. We need you to be for a strong public option, like your colleagues in New York.
There is something so broken about our healthcare system, and I listened very intently to the last line of the Pledge of Allegiance with liberty and justice for all. And I believe that there's only one, and that's single payer, that does for all.
We need to get H.R. 676 back on the table. Are you willing to lead and join with Anthony Weiner and do that? Or are you just going to sit in the middle and just kind of drift with the insurance companies? Or are you going to show some leadership? The bill that Viviana referred to as 676, right? Yeah, is the so-called single payer option, which, and he makes a good point. I like the way he phrased it. That is Medicare for all, which I see that just a contrast between the public option and what that is a wholly subsidized plan. And I am not a sponsor of that bill. For reasons that I've stated here today. Yes, Miss.
Specifically.
No, yes.
Last week I got a letter from my mortgage company that I'm in breach and I'm going to be foreclosed on. I am not unique. I bet that everybody in this room knows somebody like me who is either paying for their health care by refinancing their homes using credit cards and potentially declaring bankruptcy.
Last week I lost my job. I got my paperwork for COBRA. I don't know, should I pay my car insurance or should I pay my COBRA? I don't know what to do.
We elected you for a reason. We elect you to stand up on an issue like this, and we need you to do that. This is the most important issue. I don't want to sound like a broken record that faces us today. It's an ethical issue. It's a moral issue. People should not have to worry about whether they get sick or not. It's not right. Other countries in the world don't have this issue. If you live in a European countries that are not as wealthy as us, this is not an issue. You don't have to worry about your job moving. This is 2009. This is ridiculous.
AMA, for example, has gotten a lot of criticism from doctors and nurses and others in healthcare, but their decision was, we all agree on one thing: reform is essential. It's unsustainable the way things are currently going.
If you have a Medicare HMO, I have to call the company. And 50% of the time it's refused at first. So you have to call again and again. Try to call an 800 number and see what happens.
First of all, I think that all this to be paid for. Everybody's worrying about how we can pay for this. If we get out of Iraq and Afghanistan, there's no reason for us to be there. Not whatsoever.
From a personal point of view, I support more than the public option. I obviously support the single payer system because I was trained in that system. I worked for several years in that system. I've been a patient in that system, and I have many family and friends who have received life-saving treatment in that system, and I have advocated for it. However, that's not my point. My point is that as a doctor, I have a moral stand that, for me, nothing should come between my treatment of a patient, and certainly it should never ever be, it should be what's best for that patient, and never should it be a financial incentive or profit motive or anything that has to do. I think until profit can be taken out of medicine in this country, then we will never be able to move forward, and the healthcare that everybody would like to have will not be achieved. Profit is not necessary for excellent healthcare.
We need this healthcare reform for that purpose, as well as for the needs of all the people who are not insured and need to have that healthcare. It's a basic human right. that we hear human rights talked about with China, we need it here too.
Now, we have 1% of the population having approximately 95% of the money. We want that money. We want health care, and we want it now.
The other question that came up, and I think is a real myth, is why is this being rushed? There was nothing rushed about health care in this country being taken up. Over and over and over again. We have had many, many presidents who've tried to do it. I think what has happened now is our fiscal crisis, is the emergency situation in terms of people losing their jobs and losing their health coverage and companies going under, and so therefore it has become an absolute emergency for the middle class as well as those who have not had coverage up to now.
When she lost her job, 3 years ago, at the time she was having background diabetic retinopathy, seen by a doctor, evaluated by doctors every year. After she lost the job, she lost her insurance, and she didn't see a doctor. She came back to me a couple of months ago with full-blown vitreous hemorrhage and losing her eyesight. Simply because this lady didn't have any insurance. I don't think anyone in this hall would like to see themselves losing their eyesight simply because they don't have any insurance.
I would like to know if it's possible that domestic workers who make other work possible, which also take care of the elderly and also the future generation, if we would be included in health care reform. Thank you.
And we do need it now. It is not urgent now. It's been urgent since 30 years ago when Nixon tried to fix the whole mess. This will be one piece of the puzzle. It will focus on one aspect. Veterans will still have issues. The elderly will still have issues. Medicare, Medicaid, they work pretty well and they're not perfect. So go make it as good as you can, make it the best you can. Don't demand that it be perfect.